Hello, and today's topic is a really important one. How much does it cost to start up your own soap and skincare business? It's a big topic, and I've got a lot of notes because I don't want to forget anything. But I think the reason why it's important is because lots of people learn how to make something and then really enjoy it and then feel that they would like to get into that as a business or a sideline, a side hustle, and don't really give too much thought about the potential costs until it's too late and they're halfway through. So we're going to have a whistle-stop tour because there's quite a lot to cover. Firstly, soap and skincare products are regulated. There's a lot of legislation that you need to follow, and this is not the video that's going to cover all that. However, it will crop up as part of your expenses. So, first of all, if you are looking to sell soap, body butter, lip balm, bath bombs, anything at all like that, every single product that you sell has to have a chemist assessment. Now, to put that in perspective, the costs vary greatly. So if you were just to look at one product, bring a range of soaps out, for example, or a range of body butters or a range of lip balms, as a guide, and it is a ballpark figure, you would be looking at a single variant cost, and a variant is one fragrance or one base recipe, a single cost of about £75 per recipe. You can then go up to 5 variations on a single recipe, so that's 5 different scents and colours, for example, is around £125, and then up to about £250 for either 12 variants or a flexi assessment. And I won't go into what flexi assessment is here. Now, there are a lot of cosmetic chemists out there. The prices do vary. My prices that I've quoted to you are based on MAF Cosmetics because that's who I use. I'll put a link to him in the comments below. But again, there are other options. You can go for pre-assessed recipes, so they're preset, and those are a bit cheaper because the work's already been done. So, for example, it might be a case of a soap recipe with a number of variations, and you can just pick from those variations, and it's pre-done and it will be a bit cheaper. Lots of companies offer those as well, so do shop around. So put that in perspective again, if you were looking to bring out a number of products, say for example soap, body butter, lip balm, shampoo bars, conditioner bars, you've got 5 different products there, and then you would want to have the option to do them in different scents. So you would probably be looking in total at around £600 or £700 for a whole range of products. But again, do your shopping around on that one. The next thing I want to talk about is insurance. You would need product and public liability insurance. Again, there's a couple of different companies out there that do it. Your best bet is to go with a crafters company, so they tend to be a little bit cheaper. One that most people I know use is Ian Wallace, and last time I checked it was about £120 to £130 for an annual policy, so just a basic annual policy for product and public liability. You will have the option of 1 million, 2 million or 5 million for your public liability. I can't advise you on what is the best quantity to go for. A lot will depend on how you're selling your products. If you're looking to go to events, for example, some of them will expect you to have 5 million public liability, so just bear that in mind. The next expense you need to think about is raw materials for your initial stock. And again, you don't have to make a lot of products, but you will need some in stock ready to sell. And when I say raw materials, you could be looking at coconut oil, olive oil, sodium hydroxide. You could be looking at different butters for other products, fragrances, essential oils, colours, maybe tins if you're making something that needs to go in a tin or a small jar. So all of that will be classed as your initial stock. So, and I would say you could do that for around £300 or £400 initially, just to get a basic stock level in place. Next on my list is packaging. DIY or professional are your options. So within DIY, that would come into using a program like Canva maybe to design your own labels, or you can go on to something like Avery and do that, and then printing them out yourself maybe, or printing them out through a third party. So you do all the heavy work yourself, all the design work, and then you'd either print them at home or you'd print them elsewhere. That is obviously the cheapest option. It will be costly in terms of your time, but cheapest for the cost per unit. If you're printing them out yourself, you can probably print them out for 2 or 3p per label. So again, it's not going to be too much. If you're looking to get it done professionally, and I'll just give you an example on this because I've just had all mine done for the dog and I. So I had my existing dog products rebranded, and then I also had a number of new human products designed and a small number printed for me. So in total, that cost me about £550. Now, if you were brand new in business and asking another printer to do that, printer designer to do that, it would probably cost you a bit more because they wouldn't have any experience of what it is that you like, and they would be looking to design and then come back to you. Whereas with me, I've been working with my printer designer for quite a long time. So it is quite a costly exercise if you want to go straight down the professional labelling route. And most people don't, if I'm honest. You can do a pretty good job on your own. A lot depends on your own circumstances. The next thing is, it depends on how you're looking to sell your products. If you're looking just to sell at events or local markets, and you're not looking to grow a big business, but just to keep you ticking over and maybe cover your hobby and a little bit more, you could get away without a website probably. You could probably just get away with a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Not something I'd recommend just in case you get shut down, but it all depends on your long-term aim. If you're looking to sell online, you will need some sort of platform to sell from. Now, your two main options really are something like Etsy or something like Shopify, which is your own website. I know a lot of people would look at Etsy because it's the easy option. However, their costs are really, really high. You would have to sell at quite a high price to make a reasonable profit. It's also really limiting in terms of having to abide by their rules and regulations. They can shut you down at any time, and they do. They hold on to your money sometimes if there's some sort of quick quibble or issue. And you still have to drive traffic to your shop on Etsy, so they're not magically going to show people all your wonderful soaps. So personally, I advise against it, and I would recommend that you go for a proper e-commerce online shop. Most people would go with something, well, I always recommend that you go with something like Shopify because it's built for selling online. It's template based, so you can build it yourself, and there's lots of tutorials online on how to do that. It's got a checkout built in already. It's got SEO options built in. They give you advice around privacy statements, etc. So you can do that, or you can probably go and do something a bit cheaper and add in your own checkout through Squarespace or something like that. But again, I'm a fan of easy, and Shopify is £25 a month, and it's all there for you. And once you've learned to do it, it's really straightforward. And they have their own checkout built in, which is quite reasonably priced. I can't remember the percentages, but it's not too excessive. So website, £25 a month on average. The next thing, before you do your website, you'd need a domain name. I would recommend that you buy that sooner rather than later, as soon as you've decided on your business name, because otherwise if it disappears and you've started designing your labels, you won't be very happy. You can buy a domain name on something like GoDaddy, and generally, unless you've got something that's really popular, it's pretty cheap. £10 for the first year. It might go up a bit more for subsequent years, but it's not too expensive. So get that done sooner rather than later. Then you need to look at product photography. So I've put product photography in. It's not a must, it's a nice to have. If you are selling online, then having really good imagery is so important, and it could be the difference between not selling and selling. You can do some really good images on your mobile phone these days, and a lot depends on your skills and ability. And it's a starting point. I certainly wouldn't say to somebody, you must have professional images. However, if you have an ambition to grow a good-sized business, I would suggest that you do need to look at professional photography, product photography, and that could be anything between £250 probably up to about £1,000 roughly, depending on how many images you have and what you're looking for. It is an investment, but it is a worthwhile investment if you're looking to grow your business past going to local fairs and events. The next thing is, just make sure I plugged in. Yeah, I unplugged it. I thought my computer had gone off then. So the next thing on my list is, it's a big list, sorry. ERM, CRM, customer relationship management tools. Now this is for keeping an email list. It's free initially, you'll be pleased to know. If you're looking to sell online, you will need to keep an email list, or at least start to grow an email list. But if you go for something like MailerLite, you get the first 1,000 sign-ups for free. My next on the list is business cards. You do need some sort of stationery to hand out really, or put in with your parcels. But again, you can get that done quite cheaply. You can design something yourself on Canva and then just upload it to something like Vistaprint. And I think I've just got 1,000 of my new business cards, and I think it was about £35, so it wasn't too bad. Postage boxes and packaging if you're selling online. Just for a basic starter collection, around £50. So that's not too bad. That's boxes, tape and some sort of filler. If you're looking to sell at events and craft shows, it depends very much on whether you're selling indoors or outdoors. If you're selling outdoors, you would need to invest in some sort of marquee. You can get really cheap ones for about £50. However, they're not very sturdy, and if you're in the UK, I would suggest that you need to spend couple of £100 on a decent one. And then you would need some sort of branding, stationery, something to hang up, or a tablecloth to hang over your table saying who you are and what you're all about, or maybe a roller sign. So again, that can add up. You could be looking at another £50, £60 for something like branding wise for your stand. And then you'd be possibly looking at props of some kind, but you can buy quite cheaply with wooden crates, things like that. I won't go too much into that because everybody's going to be different. Utilities, costs of electricity and water, etc., if you're making your products, is going to be relatively minor. It's probably going to be a few pound. So I wouldn't worry too much about that at this stage, because presumably you're not going to be making large amounts initially. Marketing, again, initial marketing costs can vary. Most people start out without marketing other than free organic reach on social media, word of mouth, for example. And quite honestly, unless you have experience with ads, etc., and you have a very, very clear idea of who your target market is, ads can become a money pit very quickly. The next thing to think about is taxes. If you're doing this as a side hustle alongside your day job, you're probably paying tax on your day job, which means that you will be paying tax on all of your profit from your business, which is quite a big chunk. So straight away, you'll be losing 20% of your profit. So just bear that in mind. It's not an upfront cost as such, but it is an expense that you'll need to bear in mind and put by money for. The last one I've put on my list is personal training and development and courses. This video is assuming that you've got the basics of soap making or other product making in place, that you know how you're going to make your product, that you've got the basic equipment. What it doesn't account for is that you know exactly how you're going to set your business up. And that is quite a big topic it is a very big topic in itself. You can certainly do it yourself. There's loads of YouTube videos out there. There's lots of things you can research online. You need to really know the basics about business, but you also need to know all about the legal setup for cosmetic companies, soap and skincare products. And that's the bit which a lot of people struggle with, because their time is probably the biggest factor. So you may need to factor in the cost of a course, which just tells you how to do everything and what you need to do. Now again, it's not a must. There's online courses. I do an online course. I'll talk about that in a moment. There are other soap business companies out there that will do in-person courses teaching you how to do all that. If you don't do an in-person day course teaching you how to do it all, you would probably be looking in a region of £400 or £500. Again, it's an investment. If you're taking somebody else's experience that they've spent years learning and they're giving it all to you in one day, you're paying for those years of experience, not for the one day. I personally don't do an in-person course because I feel that there's so much that you need to learn how to do, set it up, and then keep going back to learning how to do it. So mine is an online bootcamp where you can work through the videos, and it tells you what legislation you need to follow and what templates you need and how to do it step by step, because everyone's different. And you could come along to a day course and learn how to do it, and then a month later you've forgotten what I talked you through, and it's much easier, I think, to go back and look at a video. So that's my Soap Business Bootcamp if you're in the I just want somebody to tell me how to do it zone. And I think that's it. So I think my takeaway from this, and that what I would like everyone to take away from it, is that it's not cheap to start up a soap and skincare business. You're probably looking at over £1,000 initially, just for the absolute basics, and a lot of time. And this is not to put you off. I think sometimes pre-warned is better than not having a clue. And if it means that you think this isn't for you, then at least I've saved you some time and just giving you the information that you need to make an informed decision, really. Okay, I hope it's been useful. Any questions, as always, put them in the comments, and I've also put links in there on how to work with me if that's what you would like to do.